Human Rights Commission initiated after 40-year absence. PNG TA branch calls for the removal of executives. And Air Niugini welcomes its latest aircraft.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and thanks for joining me again. The PNG government will initiate a body that will cater to human rights abuses in the country. In a 40-year absence, the move taken by the government will create a Human Rights Commission to strengthen existing laws. Over the years, human rights-related concerns which were brought before the courts remained unaccounted for because there wasn't any commission in place to take up the matters. EMTV's Edwin Fidelis reports.
After 40 years, the national government has pushed for the recognition of this independent commission. The office will accommodate concerns relating to human rights violation, assisting people with investigations and mediate cases brought before the office. Morobe Province is listed after Port Moresby to have a Human Rights Commission office set up here. This morning, members of the commission met with the ward councillors of Leyte District to discuss and do awareness on the new office.
One office or one desk. Desk by staff Ley and this desk by carrying out same program. One same billion pass now. Ley will become the first province to have the office here.
The progress of the commission now hinges on an NEC decision that will be made in May that will give the OK to begin the work. For over 40 years, Papua New Guinea's human rights laws have been shelved. This is because there weren't any institutions like the Human Rights Commission set in place to implement these laws. So in short, Papua New Guineans who brought their concerns before the courts are disregarded. One of the areas that the Commission will be targeting are jails. Through the Human Rights Office, prisoners will be given an equal opportunity to raise their concerns, a treatment that many of them don't have access to.
Organic law of Public Human Rights Commission, this is a law where the office by investigating or line was type of carabus, where trials are prosecuted within the time frame of 4 months, where our office has the powers to go in and investigate and also make recommendations for their release.
Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Ley.
A boy was killed and 2 others buried alive after a landslip occurred at the Ogulbang area of Western Highlands province last Friday morning. 2 of the boys were rescued after spending more than a minute under the ground. Eyewitnesses say the 3 boys were walking to school when the incidents happened. Renewed calls have been made for PNG Teachers Association President Tommy Heko to step down and General Secretary Ugwalubu Moana to resign within 7 days. The warning comes from PNG TA Western Highlands President Aita Sanankepe after PNG TA failed to elect new executives since the failed election in 2009. Sanankepe claims the current president and the secretary are illegally occupying their offices.
It's been 6 years since the failed election in 2009 and the PNG Teachers Association is yet to elect new executives. While a national election is yet to be effected, concerns have been raised with calls for the national president and the secretary to vacate their positions.
General Secretary has to resign immediately. The national president has to step aside. Papua New Guinea Teachers Association election has been overdue for 4 years. I see that there's no one can fight for teachers' rights in the country.
Elections for PNG TA are supposed to be held every 3 years. However, this was not the case when the National Court nullified the results of the 2009 general election. Despite the court decision for fresh election, Tommy Heko is still occupying the president's seat, while Ugwalubu Moana still maintains the National General Secretary position and has been for over 5 years now. PNG TA's failure to fund a new election has triggered branch president for Western Highlands Province, Aita Sanankepe, to speak out on the issue. Mr. Sanankepe says teachers' issues like leave fares, salary adjustments and postings are not addressed adequately because of this reason.
I want to make sure that Papua New Guinea teachers' election must be conducted immediately. I appeal to the National Industrial Registrar, who is the cousin of all the unions in the country. Why Industrial Registrar is not pushing this election? the Electoral Commission need to appoint a returning officer so that this election must be conducted immediately.
Every fortnight, 1% of over 25,000 teachers' salary, which is roughly 8 to 10 kina per teacher, goes towards financing the association. However, it was reported that the elected national treasurer has passed away, and the teachers demanded to know how the executives access money from the association's account. Allegations of improper use of the association's letterhead and the unauthorized publications in one of the dailies regarding PNGTA election dates in 2013 are issues that needs to be clarified. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
Air Niugini today welcomed its latest aircraft into the PX fleet. The Fokker 70 jet made its maiden flight to Mt Hagen. Not only was Mt Hagen the maiden destination for the new aircraft, the new jet is also named after the city. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill was the guest of honor on this maiden flight.
The new Fokker 70 received the traditional welcome as it taxied the runway into Kagamuga Airport. Part of the huge delegation that accompanied the Prime Minister were 2 state ministers and members of parliament, Air Niugini board and members of business houses, plus heads of other SOEs. Chairman of Air Niugini board, Sir Frederick Ria, highlighted the advantages of Fokker 70 over the Q400. He said it is better suited for the development of longer-range routes, for which Boeing fleet and Fokker 100 are too large to operate. It can be operated and maintained by current Fokker 100 pilots and engineers, compared to the need at present to have separate sets of pilots and engineers.
Longer range capability. It can carry the same load as the Q400 can, but 35% further.
The latest inclusion brings the total number in the PX fleet to 27, and it is just the beginning of the acquisition, with 5 more to follow in the coming months, as announced by the chairman. The Prime Minister announced the name of the new aircraft when thanking Western Highlands province for being a significant contributor to the growth of the airline.
Great pleasure to be here in Kagamuga today to launch this first service of Fokker 70 service to Western Highlands and Mt Hagen. And of course the naming of this particular aircraft as Mt Hagen in the honor of Mt Hagen city itself.
Minister responsible for Air Niugini and all other state-owned companies, Ben Micah, guaranteed the expansion of the airline outside the region.
Here today with confidence that under your leadership, Prime Minister, underneath the support from all kind big man or some people like government staff, this board and this management will take this national airline of ours as a major regional airline. I want to assure all of you today.
The Fokker 70 was unveiled by the Prime Minister and Western Highlands Governor before it was blessed. The acquisition of the Fokker 70 marks the refleeting program that Air Niugini is undertaking in the next 3 to 5 years at the cost of 700 million kina. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News.
Still to come on National EMTV News tonight, Vital Link in Vanimo restored, Simbu's hydro plant, and villagers in Moresby's northwest frustrated with water disconnection. I'll give you all the details coming up after the break. Stay tuned. Good to have you back with the news. In Manus, a car overturned on Saturday morning, injuring 3 women. One woman's right leg was amputated after she was rushed to the hospital. The other 2 women were severely injured, while 3 men fled the scene. Eyewitnesses say the 3 mothers were given a lift to the town by these 3 men. The driver was trying to avoid a pothole when the car overturned. The collapsed bridge connecting Vanimo town to Indonesia has been rebuilt with a permanent bridge. After collapsing last month, the Dounder Bridge along the Vanimo West Coast Highway was opened over the weekend, restoring normalcy to the locals, travellers and businesses in Vanimo.
The rebuilding of the Dounder Bridge has taken almost a month, with the Works Department hard at work to restore normal travelling for locals and public commuters. Last Thursday it was open to the public. However, there is more work to be done to complete the sealing of the bridge. Sundown Provincial Works Manager Henry Rakwasi says the rebuilding of the bridge was supposed to be complete some weeks ago, but landowner issues delayed the workflow. However, he announced the bridge should be completed this week.
Mipla building misla copper 200 Bailey Bridge. It's an emergency so long just to restore access law through law people blow here go through long Wutung law PNG Indonesia border.
The construction of the new bridge commenced after the Works Department's restoration funds were released. This was after major flooding in some parts of the country last month that destroyed many road infrastructure.
Total costing, because bridge and blow people law here, people got lost stock, so we don't have costing, but the long constructing, put him on site, people are estimating about 350,000. So that's money come through long, depend on the folks, or emergency funds, whatever, so, and then people are restoring the bridge.
The bridge connects all villages along the west coast of Vanimo. It is part of the international highway to the PNG Indonesian border. Locals are now calling on the national and provincial government to put more permanent bridges like this along the international highway.
Appeal belum gonna gaman osem provincial government, Sandan provincial government, all members osem almost trying to look at now good bridge almost make him. Osem all sambla napla bridge all stop yet long warmu gosena yako na gosena utong.
Meanwhile, Vanimo Green MP Belden Nama has maintained his priority of building roads and bridges in his district. The MP wants to connect all corners of his district to Vanimo town.
I believe that building road to give access to the people, then they will become independent. They can sell their produce in town and be independent in terms of earning some money to buy to support their daily needs.
Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
The boycott of classes at Lane's Polytechnic Institute has dragged on for another day. Students maintain their standoff until their petition is answered. The students have demanded the institution to upgrade the rundown state of the institution's infrastructures. This comes after students continue to use deteriorating dormitories and lecture rooms. A committee was set up yesterday and a meeting convened by the administration after students presented the petition. The result of the meeting is expected to be announced by the committee tomorrow. People of Karamui in Simbu will host the next biggest hydro plant in the country. A memorandum of understanding was signed by the Simbu provincial government, developer Salini, and the national government to allow for construction to kick off. The remote Karamui district is set to open its doors to the world with this project.
The signing of the MOU signals the start of the progress towards the hydro plant, which will produce a capacity of 1,800 to 2,000 megawatts. This capacity will not only benefit Karamui and Simbu province, but the Momase and Islands region as well. State Enterprise Minister Ben Micah says the remote Karamui district will now open up and people must be ready to embrace this change.
But this is the project that will enable roads and other infrastructure to be built into one of the country's most remote, but an area with great potential in agriculture and other industries that I know this project will open up for development. So
the project will be developed by an Italian company, Salini, a world-renowned hydro dam builder. Salini's executive director, Leopoldo Calissimo, says the company will work closely with stakeholders to complete this project.
We are honored to make the first step to put our capabilities, technical skill at the service of the government of Papua New Guinea and of the people of Papua New Guinea and of Simbu province for the implementation of this very important project, which will bring an important increase in the production of power.
Salini operates in over 50 countries and this project will be its first in PNG. The electricity generated will help the current shortfall and hiccups faced in the islands region. It will also see tangible spin-offs in the agriculture sector, which Simbu has a huge potential in.
Having the prospect of having a dam in my province, it is of significance to the country, especially my people in Simbu. And I know it will do great wonders, and I want this project to be progress quickly.
The hydro project is under the private-public partnership program. Jagla Pahave Junior, National MTV News.
Barony villagers in Moresby's northwest electorate have been living without water for over 5 weeks now. This follows a disconnection of the water supply by Edaranu due to lack of payments. This morning, angry villagers claimed that they were overcharged by Edaranu and blocked off the road leading into Barony. At least 100 vehicles were denied entry into Barony and Tatana villages today as a result of the disputes.
This footage taken at 10 this morning shows some of the frustrated villagers awaiting the arrival of Edaranu representatives. The wait lasted for at least 4 hours. During the wait, both sides of the road leading into the village were blocked off, forcing the travelling public to stay out of the village, and business owners were also prevented from accessing their premises. The people's concern is the disconnection in their water supply.
The common thing that a person must have for young children, education is affected. They go because no water, they are sent home.
Villagers claim they were charged 135,000 kina for their water for the first quarter of this year. Normally, a fee of 6,000 kina is charged for water per month. And when this is calculated, villagers will pay 18,000 kina for the first 3 months. But the villagers say the 135,000 charged to them means an additional 117,000 kina was placed on the initial 18,000 they were supposed to pay for the first 3 months.
But this bill is almost getting out of hand, and it's rising all the time.
Since it was cut in March, villagers now travel as far as Koko in the Kairuku Hiri electorate in Central and Hanwabada in the Moresby South electorate to fetch water for cooking, cleaning and drinking. Wendy Mabata is one mother who has been traveling long distances to collect water for her family. She had missed 2 days of work last week and is now experiencing backache from carrying loads of water.
We are carrying these big containers right down to Motukea, down to Gabi. Look at Gabi.
In a similar incident last year, the villagers had no water for over 6 months. This prompted a response from the NCD Governor, Powes Pakop, the local MP, Michael Malabag, and representatives from the Edaranu. A huge meeting was held here in Barony and the water was restored. But for this year, the villagers maintain the roadblock will remain until they get a response from Edaranu and other concerned authorities. Classes for Barony primary and elementary students were also suspended today because of the roadblock. But Deputy Principal Irene Gaudi is confident classes will resume tomorrow.
We realize that our reserve tank is empty. That's the time when we close the whole school because the teachers are affected.
Tekla Gunga, National MTV News.
The newly commissioned PNG-DF Force training ship, HMPNGS Lake Kamu, recently completed her first operational mission under the PNG flag. The ship's crew worked from September last year to learn the ship's systems and capability and achieved operational certification in March this year. HMPNGS Lake Kamu played a key role in Operation Sobo 2, a joint PNG-DF operation involving the Army, maritime and air wing elements, delivering vital stores and humanitarian assistance to remote areas in Western Province. It was tasked to deliver helicopter fuel to the provincial capital of Daru and to a remote airfield at Moorhead Station, 90 kilometres up the Moorhead River. The vessel is manned by a joint PNG-DF and Australian Defence Force crew commanded by Lieutenant Commander James Carroll of the Royal Australian Navy. 50 Papua New Guinean businesswomen are set to showcase their products and handiwork during a 3-day APEC meeting on policy partnership of women in the economy. This meeting is part of a series of meetings which will be held as a lead-up to the main APEC Leaders Summit in 2018. The exhibition is supported and organised by the PNG Focus on APEC Women's Economic Empowerment Secretariat, which is further supported by the PNG APEC Secretariat, which comes under the Prime Minister's Department.
These are the women selected from a recent mini-expo held earlier in the year. They are privileged to showcase their products and business to women from 21 economies who will be in the country to attend the 3-day meeting this weekend.
There was a mini-expo that was held by Janet, and some of the participants came from there, but not everyone that was selected, mainly because what we wanted to do was select unique products, select products that were slightly marketable right now, because others we need to still help them to get to a market stage, and we didn't want them to be frustrated, and we will work with those people. And in terms of the formal sector, we were looking at women that were already successful, number one. Number two, people who are giving services that are making sense and that are having an impact.
The exhibition this weekend at the Holiday Inn Kasawari Park is a strategic move by the organizers to expose and connect these businesswomen to the APEC women folk who represent the global markets.
This meeting is coming here. We want to actually give the opportunity to our women to have some exposure, because not all the women are going to be in the meeting. The meeting will probably have maybe 10 or 5 people sitting in the meeting. And all of our women would not even have a chance of, being part of this whole celebration.
This exhibition, I want to make it clear to the public of Papua New Guinea that these are the women who are privileged to have been chosen because of a short space of time, and we were not able to bring women from Papua New Guinea here. This is an international APEC event meeting taking place in preparation for the 2018 APEC big meeting that will happen. These are the side meetings that happens.
The exhibition will coincide with the Policy Partnership for Women Economy, which will commence this Sunday, 3rd of May, through to Tuesday, 5th of May. Bridget Komatep, National EMTV News.
The national government is committed to ensuring that the Elk Antelope Gas Project gets off the ground. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill gave this assurance following a tour of the Antelope gas fields yesterday. He was present to witness the flaring of Antelope 5 gas well, which is part of the field appraisal. MTV's Mary Batulo has more on this report.
Prime Minister O'Neill was joined by heads of all the major joint venture partners in the development of this project: Interoil, Oil Search and Total. Prime Minister O'Neill was impressed with the progress so far in developing this project and assured the parties of his government's commitment to their success. The visit also provided the opportunity for the Prime Minister to meet employees working at the project site to thank them for their efforts in getting the project to this stage.
Again, as I said, it is an important project for the country. We are beginning to be an LNG producing nation through our first project, PNG LNG. Of course, this is our second major project for the country, and we are trying to get this project off the ground as quickly as possible so that we can maximize the opportunities that the LNG market has for us in the global terms.
Interoil Corporation, who had been at the forefront of this development for a number of years, were pleased with the progress made so far and were hopeful of positive results from drilling currently taking place in other antelope wells.
We've been fortunate enough to find one of the biggest gas fields in Asia. And it's an honour with this joint venture and the government to be able to work towards creating opportunities for Papua New Guinea associated with this gas field.
And we are on track with what we announced previously, which is that by middle of this year we'll be telling and we'll be announcing, after having consulted and discussed and agreed with the partners and the authorities of Papua New Guinea, on the different locations where we're going to locate the central processing facility, where we are going to locate the LNG plant. That will happen middle of this year.
According to the venture partners, the project remains on track with a development concept to be ready by mid this year, to begin early development work in 2016, with contracts for construction to begin as early as 2017. Merabatulo, National EMTV News.
And now we check out the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3715 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, our kina was fetching $0.364 US, $0.4602 Australian dollars, $0.3304 euro, and 42.92 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee closed the day lower, while cocoa, copra and gold closed the day higher. Copper and palm oil closed higher as well, while crude oil closed the day lower. And lastly, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 43 points lower, the ASX closed at 34 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 33 points lower. You're watching National EMTV News tonight. We'll bring you more local and international updates coming up after the break. Stay with us. Thanks for your company and welcome back to National EMTV News. The Cancer Foundation of Papua New Guinea is taking the fight against cancer to Kimbe. This is in partnership with the West New Britain Provincial Health Authority and West New Britain's Governor's Office. Awareness and prevention will be the key focus at Kimbe's Independence Park on Wednesday 29th and Thursday 30th of April. In fact, that's this week. The two-day program will include free cancer screening and cancer awareness workshops. Papua New Guinean contemporary artist Jeffrey Figa is rounding up other local artists to contribute their works to an art collection in Italy. Imago Mundi is the contemporary art collection established by emerging artists from many different countries on a voluntary basis and with no financial reward. Contributing artists will be featured in a catalogue. Figa said it's an opportunity for PNG artists to get some recognition.
Figa was at the Ella Beach Craft Market recently with 140 small canvases, asking artists to contribute a painting on one of these pieces.
What I'm after is for 140 canvases to be filled and painted by 140 artists from all around Papua New Guinea, from all walks of life. The main purpose of this collection, this 140 artwork collection, is to represent Papua New Guinea in an exhibition.
Imago Mundi is the contemporary art collection based in Italy, composed of thousands of works commissioned and collected by Luciano Benetton. Imago Mundi is a democratic collection and global project that looks at new horizons to personalities, countries, emerging languages and different cultures in the name of openness, coming together and the coexistence of expressive diversities. Its social ambition is to promote a knowledge and awareness of arts of the world.
I've been doing art for quite a number of years. The painting on this small stretch canvas is basically a tribal abstract of my tribe.
The painting, I'm also PNG lifestyle. So I'm local lifestyle of PNG. So this painting, needing planting painting too much. Just background is sunset color. Now me put one black paint as well.
Figa, who's been painting professionally for the last 10 years, said it's a great opportunity for local PNG artists.
But each artist that participates will get a copy of the catalogue for Papua New Guinea. It looks something like this, but as you can see, it's quite thick. There's 140 works in here. It includes the biographies of the artists. Once again, it's just a good opportunity for PNG artists to get a bit of publicity.
So far, local artists from the Milne province and NCD have contributed their artwork. Figa said by the end of May, all the 140 paintings should be packed and ready for Italy. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea joined 21 out of 109 Asian and African leaders last Wednesday for the Asian African Conference. Foreign Minister Rembing Pato was present at the conference, which addressed emerging economic powers, a stronger effort against terrorism and diplomatic ties between member nations.
Also known as the Bandung Conference, it was initiated in 1955 in Indonesia and united the many developing Asian and African countries that refused to join the rivalry of the Cold War, needing to develop domestically instead. The conference aims to promote world peace, cooperation and sovereignty. Although Indonesia invited leaders from 109 Asian and African countries, only 21 leaders reportedly turned up, which commentators say may mean that the group is no longer relevant. Indonesian President Joko Widodo, who was the conference host, said that those who rely on institutions such as the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, and Asian Development Bank to solve global economic problems were clinging to obsolete ideas. Widodo made no mention of the China-proposed Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, which is seen as a competitor to the World Bank and Asian Development Bank, despite Indonesia being one of 60 countries offered the opportunity to be a founding member. Leaders also called for more interaction and efforts against violence and terrorism. We are responsible for all the nations in Asia and Africa to gain a better life. We are able to fight against colonialism and terrorism that threatens the lives of our children. Terrorism has no boundary or citizenship. Chinese President Xi Jinping said at the conference that a new type of international relations is needed to boost cooperation between Asian and African nations. President Jinping also reportedly said that the developed world has an obligation to support the rest, with no political strings attached. Foreign Minister Rimbing Pato commented on Papua New Guinea's unique position and duty as a developing Asia-Pacific nation. In a statement, he said, "As the only country that is a member of the Asian African Conference, APEC, and the Pacific Islands Forum, our country is in a unique position as a bridge between these forums. The purpose of the Asian African Conference is to strengthen South-to-South cooperation, in other words, to enhance cooperation between developing countries. Economies have changed dramatically since the Bandung Conference's first meeting in 1955, when member countries accounted for less than a quarter of the global economic output. Today, they contribute to over half of the world economy." Alana Lay, MTV World News.
Aid agencies are preparing massive operations as the death toll in the aftermath of the 7.9 magnitude earthquake that hit Nepal at the weekend tops 4,000. These scenes of Nepalese women being pulled out from debris by India's disaster response force 50 hours after the earthquake struck gives an idea of the high-risk operations undertaken. With 6,500 injuries and counting, international aid has not slowed. Britain yesterday loaded an aircraft complete with shelter kits, rope and solar lanterns, including chargers among others. Nepal government officials said they need more food supplies, medicines, specialized rescue services and more body bags. Much of Kathmandu's population of 1 million have been sleeping in the open since the earthquake, and although aid is arriving in the capital, authorities continue to struggle to deliver relief to remote areas. Well, Trukai Sports is coming up next, and we'll have all the latest on the Oil Search Baton Relay, including the Kumuls team for the Pacific Test. Stay tuned for all of that plus more.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Oil Search Pacific Games relay team travelled to the islands region, spending the day in Manus yesterday. The team was greeted by provincial government officials, followed by traditional sing-sing and performances before embarking on a lengthy relay around the island of Los Negros. MTV's Lorraine Genia has all the highlights.
The Oil Search Baton Relay arrived in the island province of Manus. Oil Search representative was greeted by the Deputy Governor John Pamet, members of the provincial government and sing-sing groups. With the dancers leading the way, the baton was passed on to the government officials who began the relay from the Momota Airport to Los Negros Island. It would, for several hours, be run and passed from school children to security personnel, as seen by what would have been most of the residents as it made its way to the island of Manus. The baton relay then made its way to Lorengau, the provincial capital, past the markets, school kids and the residents. The Oil Search Pacific Games relay continues. Lorraine Genia, National MTV Sports.
To Rugby League, the PNG Kumuls team has been named for the Pacific Test match against the Fiji Butties on the Gold Coast in Australia this weekend. The team is dominated by players from the PNG Hunters, with a few exceptions made to players contracted to the National Rugby League clubs in Australia. Sydney's Roosters winger Nene McDonald is one of the 3 players from the NRL included in the team.
The 18-member team is without surprise dominated by the PNG Hunters. Israel Eliab, Willie Minoga, obvious inclusions to the side, will be complemented by Sydney Roosters blazing winger Nene McDonald and the Albert brothers from the Penrith Panthers in their first test match of the year.
Wellington Albert has scored!
The rest of the squad includes players handpicked from the intra-Super Cup teams. The Martin brothers are no strangers to the Kumuls jersey, having played for Papua New Guinea before. Tyson has been with the Mackay Cutters in the Intrust Cup division, while brother Reese is contracted to the Townsville Black Hawks. The significance in this year's test match will complement PNG RFL's 40th anniversary of the Kumals jersey. The PNG Kumals will run onto the CBUS Stadium in Robina on the Gold Coast on Saturday the 2nd of May. Lorraine Genia, National, EMTV Sports.
Port Moresby Vipers suffered their biggest loss in round 2 against Lake Tigers in Lae over the weekend. Retaining much of their lineup from last year and coming off a bye, Vipers are sure to re-strategize for round 3. Round 2 wraps up with, once again, tight victories. Debutants Wagitume and Hella Wigman are yet to register wins this season.
Lae Tigers have registered their biggest win of the season, flogging Port Moresby Vipers 48 points to nil in round 2 of the Digicel Cup. Anderson Banford grabbed his first try on debut, with Charlie Simon converting all 8 tries off the boot. Over in Kokopo, the Gurias kept up their winning streak at the Graveyard, thrashing Lahani's 18 points to 10. Defending Cup champions Hella Wigman went down to Simbu Lions 18 points to 10, and Hagen Eagles held Wagitumbe to a 14-point win. Rabaul Gurias, Lae Tigers, Simbu Lions and Mendi Muruks now sit at the top half of the table with 2 wins each, while Goroka Lahani's Hella Wigman and Wagitumbe are yet to register wins in this year's opening round of the season. Skola Sengi, National, EMTV Sports.
Don't go away, True Guy Sports continues after the break. We'll bring you the story of PNG's Karate Kid. Stay tuned for that.
True Kai Sports.
Good to have you back with True Kai Sports. Humble and quietly spoken, Nigel Bana is a young Shotokan karate student who recently graduated to a black belt. The 23-year-old has been identified as one of the country's newest hopes in its quest to win gold at the Pacific Games come July.
23 years of age and already seen as Papua New Guinea's brightest hope in the martial art code of Shotokan Karate. Having already had Pacific Games experience, the young man shows little in the way of arrogance.
It was going down to the last 10 seconds. Me punch long I'm step go to the line, but unfortunately referee no kisla. Trevor Roberts sensei. Sana petem la I'm gonna appeal lap, complain lap stuff. I'm alright. Things happen. Sometimes things come your way, sometimes things don't. You just have to go back and train hard.
Hey! Demonstrating, Nigel showcases hard focus and lightning fast skill.
Do the little things right, discipline myself, and commitment towards training. And eventually, if I prepare well, then yeah, the results will speak for itself.
Nigel Bana, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. Thank you very much.
July's games will be another big test in his short, but so far successful career.
Pacific Games on home soil. Actually, it's what basically every athlete dreams of doing, playing in front of a home crowd. But for the gold, no, he doesn't come into me. It's something that I don't have control of.
Nigel is on a break from training until the beginning of next month, but is already itching to get back into swing. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
Playing sport is the key to keep youths away from engaging in illegal activities. That's from the chairman of Vanimo Urban Soccer, Morris Yopin. Yopin says soccer has a huge influence on youths in Vanimo and should be given top priority to help develop sports in the province.
Sundown Province has seen little attention given to the development of sports in the province. Despite the lack of attention, it is one of the country's top surfing destinations. Today, the sport of soccer is slowly taking its form again in the town of Vanimo after an inconsistent competition over the last 10 years. Weekend sports in the small town field sees all people from the east to the west coast of Vanimo gather to play out the town soccer competition. Chairman Yopin says the town competition has many potential players to be recognized as NSL prospects.
At least suppose you get some good sponsorship now. You can make him also one money, you can come up with a good thing long. Making come up NSL in Vanimo, I think we can plant a good talent stuff. where I think previous some 10, 20 years ago, we producing plenty of good quality players for this, representing when we go, all stuff inside long, all people, all games long, overseas tours, now it's like kind of PNG team, long, outside. But now you get plenty of good local talents, and we get now all stuff now.
But for now, he says soccer plus other sports played in the province are key to keeping youths busy and away from illegal activities.
So you make soccer, making the team all get illegal youths stuff no about nothing no got something to make him participate in sports, like soccer, make him also only busy or something where only not concert or kind of illegal heavy community na care of disturbance. So
Rugby League is also starting in the province with only 6 teams taking part in the town's competition. Stanley Ovett Jr., National EMTV Sports.
UNICEF Papua New Guinea has recently joined hands with Just Play Soccer Development Program. The Just Play program uses sports to address issues surrounding health and gender equality. UNICEF PNG Communications Specialist Sipora Monia said the partnership would address serious issues affecting Papua New Guinea. It has allowed for both organizations to team up with the Oil Search Pacific Games Baton Relay team to raise awareness throughout the country. Monia also said there were future plans in place after the Pacific Games. The weather details still to come. That's on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
A quick look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in southern region, Port Moresby and Karama to look forward to brief evening showers. In Momase, evening showers plus thunderstorms expected in Madang. In the New Guinea Islands, fine weather expected in KVA. And lastly, in the Highlands region, evening showers then morning fog for Mendi and Wabeg. Now before we go, a quick recap of our main headlines. The government to establish a Human Rights Commission after a 40-year absence. Also, the PNG Teachers Association Branch in Western Highlands calls for the removal of executives, and Air Niugini welcomes its latest aircraft, the Fokker 70, on its maiden flight to Mt Hagen. Well, that's how we wrap up the bulletin this Tuesday. On behalf of the news crew, I'm Tokana Hasavi. As always, thanks for your company. You take care and stay safe. Good night.